Do you remember those Halloween treats your parents used to make? The ones you can't find in stores anymore? They weren't just candy. They were clever, spooky, and sometimes downright quirky creations that made every party table unforgettable. These are the 30 forgotten Halloween party foods that somehow faded into history, disappearing from cookbooks and family traditions alike. Let's take a nostalgic trip back to the kitchens that made Halloween a little more magical, one bite at a time. Candy corn fudge squares. Imagine walking into a Halloween party in the 1930s. The air thick with the scent of caramel, chocolate, and a hint of autumn spice. On the table, nestled among hand-popped popcorn balls and candied apples, sits a tray of candy corn fudge squares, bright, festive, and impossibly sweet. This was a treat that captured the imagination as much as it did the taste buds, turning a simple combination of sugar, butter, and milk into something celebratory, playful, and unmistakably seasonal. The origin of these squares lies in the interwar period, a time when candy makers were experimenting with colors, shapes, and textures to delight children and adults alike. Candy corn itself had been around since the late 19th century, and someone, likely a thrifty homemaker with a penchant for novelty, had the bright idea to fold those triangular candies into a creamy fudge. It became a staple at community halls, church socials, and home parties, a symbol of ingenuity and festive cheer. The ingredients were simple, pantry staples that any household could muster even during tighter times: sugar, butter, milk, and a handful of candy corn for that burst of orange, yellow, and white. The preparation required a gentle hand and patience, melting, stirring, and finally pressing the mixture into a pan to cool. Once set, the fudge could be cut into neat little squares, each one a miniature celebration of autumn's bounty. Beyond the sweetness, there's nostalgia baked into each bite. These squares evoke memories of neighborhood trick-or-treating, the excitement of choosing your favorite candy, and the pride of sharing a homemade treat at a party. Today, candy corn fudge squares might seem quaint, even kitschy, compared to flashy modern desserts or TikTok-inspired sweets. But they carry a charm that's timeless, a reminder that creativity and care can transform humble ingredients into a moment of joy, and that sometimes the simplest sweets leave the most lasting memories. Apple butterscotch cups. Picture a chilly October evening in the 1940s, the kind where the first crisp wind hints at approaching frost and the smell of baked apples drifts from every kitchen. On a polished wooden table at a neighborhood Halloween gathering, rows of apple butterscotch cups glisten, golden and inviting. These little cups were the perfect marriage of tart fruit and creamy sweetness, a seasonal treat that celebrated the autumn harvest while remaining delightfully simple. The origin of this dessert traces back to a time when homemakers leaned on resourcefulness, turning whatever fruit was in season into charming, shareable sweets. Apples were abundant, and butterscotch, a combination of brown sugar and butter, sometimes with a touch of cream, added richness without requiring exotic ingredients. Layered together in small cups, these treats became a visual delight, each one a miniature showcase of flavor and color. Ingredients were minimal but thoughtful: crisp apples, diced or gently stewed, a smooth butterscotch sauce, and often a sprinkle of chopped nuts or a dollop of whipped cream if the household could afford it. Preparation was straightforward but required care, softening the apples just enough to keep their shape, pouring warm butterscotch over them, and letting the cups cool until each portion held its form. This attention to detail made the dessert feel special without needing complicated techniques or fancy equipment. There's an emotional resonance baked into every apple butterscotch cup. They evoke images of family kitchens filled with laughter, the excitement of children peering into candy-filled bowls, and neighbors exchanging homemade delights at evening gatherings. In today's world of mass-produced sweets and trendy dessert hacks, these cups might feel quaint, almost forgotten. Yet they embody a certain charm, a reminder that simple, carefully crafted flavors, rooted in the rhythms of the season, can create lasting memories and a warm, nostalgic connection to the past. Pumpkin whoopie pies. Close your eyes and imagine a crisp autumn afternoon in the 1950s. Children dash through fallen leaves, their laughter mingling with the scent of wood smoke and pumpkin spice drifting from kitchen windows. At the heart of the celebration sits a plate of pumpkin whoopie pies, soft, pillowy rounds of spiced pumpkin cake sandwiching a sweet, creamy filling. To anyone lucky enough to bite into one, it's a miniature celebration of fall, cozy and indulgent, yet humble enough for everyday enjoyment. Pumpkin whoopie pies originated in the mid-20th century, a period when convenience met creativity in American kitchens. Bakers were experimenting with canned pumpkin, a pantry-friendly substitute that brought the warm, earthy flavor of autumn into desserts without the fuss of peeling and roasting. These pies became popular at school Halloween parties, church socials, and neighborhood gatherings, cherished not only for their taste, but for their playful, approachable size. The ingredients were intentionally simple: canned pumpkin, sugar, flour, a touch of cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves for that signature autumn warmth, and a filling of butter and powdered sugar or marshmallow cream. Preparation was straightforward yet satisfying. Mixing the spiced batter, piping or spooning it into rounds, baking until just springy, and then sandwiching the creamy filling between two warm cakes. The process was tactile and comforting, a hands-on experience that made the kitchen feel alive with anticipation. Beyond the flavor, pumpkin whoopie pies carry nostalgia in every bite. They conjure memories of trick-or-treating with sticky fingers, sharing treats with siblings, and the excitement of homemade desserts over store-bought candy. Today, they may seem like a quaint throwback in the era of Instagrammable cupcakes and elaborate cake pops, but their charm endures. These pies remind us that a simple, lovingly crafted dessert, soft, spiced, and perfectly sweet, can be a vessel for memory, joy, and the enduring magic of Halloween. Jelly-filled ghost cookies. Step into a 1960s Halloween kitchen, where the scent of sugar and spice hangs in the air, and little hands reach eagerly for the first treats to cool on the counter. Among the seasonal offerings, jelly-filled ghost cookies float like tiny edible specters, soft, sweet, and delightfully wobbly, with a center of vibrant jam peeking through their sugar-dusted edges. These cookies weren't just snacks. They were playful, festive creations that made Halloween parties a little brighter and a little more whimsical. The origin of these ghostly confections lies in the post-war era's fascination with novelty desserts and themed treats. Home bakers, inspired by seasonal holidays and children's imaginations, began experimenting with cutout cookies, layering dough, and colorful fillings. Jelly-filled ghost cookies became a party staple, celebrated for their eye-catching shapes and the delightful surprise of jam hidden inside. They were often passed around at neighborhood parties, school functions, or family gatherings, a symbol of creativity meeting homey comfort. Ingredients were simple, accessible, and often pantry-friendly. flour, butter, sugar, eggs, a touch of vanilla, and your choice of brightly colored jelly or jam. Preparation required a bit of patience, rolling the dough, cutting out ghost shapes, adding a dollop of jam, topping with a second cookie, and finally baking until lightly golden. Once cooled, a sprinkle of powdered sugar or a dusting of cinnamon sugar added the finishing touch, giving them a snow-dusted, ethereal appearance. Eating a jelly-filled ghost cookie is a nostalgic experience. The snap of the cookie, the sweet tartness of the jam, and the whimsical shape transport us back to simpler celebrations where creativity and fun mattered more than elaborate decorations. In today's world of store-bought cupcakes and viral dessert trends, these cookies might seem quaint, even overlooked. Yet they hold a timeless charm, a reminder that the magic of Halloween lies not just in candy, but in the joy of imaginative homemade treats crafted with care and a touch of whimsy. Caramel popcorn balls. Close your eyes and imagine a Halloween party in the 1920s, the air alive with excitement, children darting between jack-o'-lanterns, and the scent of caramel weaving through the crisp autumn air. At the center of the snack table, stacked high on a tin platter, are caramel popcorn balls, glossy golden spheres that glimmer as if dusted with a little bit of magic. These treats were more than sugar and kernels. They were a symbol of ingenuity, frugality, and the simple joys of communal celebrations. Caramel popcorn balls have their roots in the early 20th century, a time when home cooks prized economy and creativity. Popcorn was cheap, abundant, and beloved by families of all incomes. And a quick coat of homemade caramel could transform humble kernels into a treat worthy of any holiday gathering. They were especially popular at Halloween, where the goal was to combine flavor, portability, and a touch of theatricality. Perfect for children running around with sticky hands, or for sharing among neighbors during community parties. The ingredients were simple, but required careful attention. Freshly popped popcorn, butter, brown sugar, a dash of corn syrup, and a pinch of salt. Preparing the balls involved melting the caramel to the right consistency, carefully folding it into the popcorn, and shaping the mixture into tight spheres before it cooled. Sometimes nuts or raisins were added for texture, or a dash of cinnamon for seasonal warmth. The process was hands-on, sticky, and satisfying, a tactile reminder of the joys of homemade treats. Beyond the taste, caramel popcorn balls evoke memories of laughter, playful mischief, and the thrill of giving and receiving homemade delights. Today, they may feel old-fashioned next to candy bars and store-bought snacks, but their charm is timeless. They remind us that Halloween wasn't just about sugar. It was about creativity, connection, and the ability to transform simple, everyday ingredients into something magical and memorable. Marbled fruit jellies. Imagine a Halloween evening in the 1930s, the glow of candlelight flickering across the faces of children dressed in paper masks, and the excitement of gathering around a table brimming with treats. Among the offerings are marbled fruit jellies, their vibrant swirls of red, orange, and yellow catching the eye and promising a burst of fruity sweetness with every bite. These colorful confections were more than simple candies. They were a playful celebration of both artistry and flavor, a small, edible masterpiece that captured the spirit of the season. The origin of marbled fruit jellies lies in the era when home cooks were experimenting with gelatin desserts, a relatively modern ingredient at the time, and looking for ways to make seasonal parties feel special. Using a combination of fruit juices, sugar, and gelatin, homemakers could create layered or swirled patterns, transforming simple ingredients into something visually striking and fun for children. These jellies became a staple at Halloween parties, often molded into small squares or cut into spooky shapes, embodying both ingenuity and festive charm. Ingredients were surprisingly simple: flavored gelatin or fruit juice, sugar, and sometimes a touch of cream or pectin to help set the consistency. The preparation required patience, pouring layers or swirling colors just so, allowing each section to set partially before adding the next, and then cutting the jellies into bite-sized portions. The end result was a candy that was as delightful to look at as it was to eat, offering a slightly chewy texture and a bright, fruity flavor that appealed to both children and adults. Marbled fruit jellies hold a nostalgic resonance, evoking images of communal gatherings, excited chatter, and the pride of presenting homemade sweets to eager friends and neighbors. Today, they may seem quaint compared to modern Halloween candy or flashy dessert trends, but their charm endures. They are a reminder that simple ingredients, creativity, and a little time can turn a humble kitchen into a space of joy, magic, and seasonal delight. Salted nut monster mix. Step back into a 1940s Halloween kitchen, where the air is filled with the warmth of roasting nuts and the faint aroma of autumn spices. At the center of the table sits a bowl of salted nut monster mix, a crunchy, salty, sweet concoction that delighted children and adults alike. This snack was simple, frugal, and irresistibly addictive, perfect for sharing at community parties or sneaking a handful during trick-or-treating adventures. The origins of this mix trace to the era of resourcefulness, when families stretched every ingredient to its fullest potential. Nuts were affordable and nutritious, and adding a touch of salt, sugar, or even a hint of cinnamon turned them into a playful treat. The name Monster Mix reflected the growing Halloween fascination with spooky fun. Jagged candies, nuts, and sometimes dried fruit were tossed together to create a snack that looked wild and chaotic, much like the imaginative mischief of the holiday itself. Ingredients were straightforward: roasted peanuts, almonds, or walnuts, a pinch of salt, brown sugar or honey for a touch of sweetness, and occasionally small candies or dried fruits to keep things festive. Preparation was minimal but hands-on, roasting nuts to bring out their flavor, coating them lightly with sugar, and mixing in any extras before letting the mixture cool in a large bowl. The result was a crunchy, flavorful snack that could be eaten by the handful or served in decorative paper cups for a party. Salted nut monster mix evokes the tactile joys of childhood, digging into a bowl with sticky fingers, sharing with friends, and the thrill of homemade treats over store-bought sweets. Today, it may feel quaint beside modern candy bags or elaborate party platters, but it carries a timeless appeal. It reminds us that Halloween has always been about creativity, resourcefulness, and the simple pleasure of transforming everyday ingredients into a snack that's fun, festive, and a little bit mischievous. Deviled egg eyeballs. Picture a Halloween party in the 1950s. The room filled with laughter, the smell of home-cooked snacks wafting through the air, and tables crowded with colorful, spooky treats. Among the offerings, deviled egg eyeballs sit in a centerpiece tray, their creamy filling peeking out like mischievous pupils. These savory little creations were both playful and practical, a clever twist on a classic appetizer that added a touch of theatrical flair to any gathering. The origin of deviled egg eyeballs is rooted in mid-century creativity, when homemakers sought ways to make familiar dishes festive without extravagant ingredients. Deviled eggs were already a party staple. Simple, versatile, and inexpensive. Transforming them into eyeballs was as much about presentation as it was about flavor. A slice of olive or a dot of paprika became the pupil, turning a humble hors d'oeuvre into a conversation starter. Halloween provided the perfect excuse to play with shapes and colors in the kitchen, blending culinary skill with a sense of whimsy. The ingredients were straightforward: hard-boiled eggs, mayonnaise, mustard, a touch of vinegar or pickle juice for tang, and simple garnishes like olives or paprika for the eyes. Preparation involved halving the eggs, carefully mixing the yolks with seasonings, and piping the filling back into the whites before adding the finishing touches. The result was visually striking, yet easy to make. A snack that could be prepared in advance and served with minimal fuss. Deviled egg eyeballs carry a nostalgic resonance, conjuring images of family gatherings, neighborhood parties, and the pride of creating something both tasty and visually fun. While today's Halloween tables are often dominated by candy and elaborate desserts, these savory treats remind us that clever, themed dishes have always been part of the celebration. They are proof that with a little imagination, even the simplest ingredients can become memorable, playful, and delightfully spooky. Witch's Fingers almond sugar cookies. Step into a Halloween kitchen in the 1960s where the aroma of butter, sugar, and almonds mingles with the faint scent of autumn leaves drifting through the open window. On the counter lie Witch's Fingers, long, slender almond sugar cookies, each tip adorned with a sliced almond like a jagged fingernail. These spooky, playful treats were more than just cookies. They were a theatrical delight, transforming a simple sweet into a miniature prop of the season. The origin of Witch's Fingers can be traced to mid-20th century ingenuity, when home bakers loved using cookie shapes and garnishes to entertain both children and adults. Halloween, with its fascination for witches and the supernatural, provided the perfect opportunity to turn a basic sugar cookie into a conversation starter. By adding a few almonds and slightly bending the dough, bakers created eerily realistic fingers that were both creepy and charming, a combination that thrilled partygoers and made these cookies a staple on holiday tables. Ingredients were simple and budget-friendly: flour, sugar, butter, eggs, a touch of vanilla, and sliced almonds for decoration. The preparation was tactile and satisfying, rolling dough into finger-like shapes, pressing the almond nail into the tip, and lightly scoring the knuckles to enhance the effect. After baking to a delicate golden brown, the cookies were sometimes dusted with powdered sugar or cinnamon for an extra touch of magic. Witch's Fingers carry a nostalgic resonance, evoking memories of excited children, homemade party platters, and the playful thrill of Halloween creativity. Today, they may seem quaint beside colorful candies or trendy dessert hacks, but their charm endures. These cookies remind us that even the simplest ingredients, when paired with imagination and care, can become memorable, whimsical treats. They're proof that Halloween has always been about fun, creativity, and a little bit of spooky delight, baked right into every bite. Molded gelatin graveyards. Picture a Halloween party in the 1950s, the kind where children in paper masks dart through living rooms and the scent of autumn spices drifts from the kitchen. On a corner table sits a jiggling centerpiece that immediately draws gasps and giggles. Molded gelatin graveyards. Vibrant, wobbly gelatin layers form the earth, while cookie tombstones, candy bones, and licorice fences complete the spooky scene. It's not just a dessert, it's a miniature haunted landscape. edible and interactive, captivating young and old alike. The origin of molded gelatin graveyards lies in mid-century innovation. Gelatin had become a household staple, prized for its versatility and ease, and home cooks were eager to explore themed desserts for holidays. Halloween presented the perfect opportunity to merge creativity and culinary skill, transforming humble ingredients into playful spectacles. These graveyards became a hit at school parties, church socials, and neighborhood gatherings, appealing to families who wanted both flavor and theatrical flair. Ingredients were simple but layered with imagination. Flavored gelatin, often in orange, green, or black, crushed cookies for soil, candy bones or small candies for decoration, and sometimes whipped cream for a misty effect. Preparation required a bit of patience, pouring layers of gelatin, letting them set just enough to support the next, and arranging the tombstones and decorations carefully atop the wobbly surface. The result was a striking centerpiece that balanced whimsy, spookiness, and sweetness in perfect harmony. Molded gelatin graveyards carry a nostalgic resonance, conjuring images of families gathered around the table, children squealing in delight, and the pride of creating something both visually impressive and delicious. Today, they may seem quaint or kitschy compared to modern Halloween desserts, but their charm endures. They remind us that a touch of creativity, combined with simple ingredients, can transform a kitchen into a stage, a dessert into a spectacle, and a holiday into a memory that lingers long after the last bite. Candied pumpkin seeds. Imagine a crisp autumn evening in the 1930s, the scent of fallen leaves and wood smoke mixing with the warm, sweet aroma of sugar bubbling on the stove. In kitchens across the country, families were gathering the seeds from carved jack-o'-lanterns and transforming them into candied pumpkin seeds, a humble yet surprisingly delightful treat. Crunchy, sweet, and lightly spiced, these little morsels were a testament to frugality, creativity, and the joy of turning scraps into something special. The origin of candied pumpkin seeds lies in the tradition of using every part of the pumpkin, particularly during the Great Depression when nothing went to waste. Instead of tossing seeds aside, home cooks discovered that with a bit of sugar, butter, and cinnamon, pumpkin seeds could be roasted into a snack both nutritious and festive. Over time, these candied seeds became a Halloween staple, appearing at parties, neighborhood gatherings, and school functions, offering a homemade alternative to mass-produced candy. Ingredients were simple: pumpkin seeds, sugar, butter or oil, and spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, or even a pinch of salt. Preparation involved carefully cleaning and drying the seeds, coating them in a sweet glaze, and roasting them until golden and crisp. The process was hands-on and satisfying, filling the kitchen with a warm, nutty aroma that hinted at the seasonal celebrations to come. Candied pumpkin seeds evoke a sense of nostalgia. Children sneaking a handful from the cooling tray, families bonding over kitchen projects, and the pride of creating something tasty from what was once discarded. Today, they may seem quaint compared to brightly colored candy or packaged treats, but their charm endures. These seeds remind us that Halloween has always been a celebration of ingenuity, resourcefulness, and the simple pleasures of transforming everyday ingredients into memorable festive delights. Toasted cheese bats. Picture a Halloween party in the 1960s, the chatter of children mingling with the smell of warm bread and melted cheese drifting from the kitchen. On a platter, cleverly arranged, lie toasted cheese bats, triangular or wing-shaped slices of bread topped with gooey golden cheese, some with little olive eyes peering up from their toasted surfaces. These savory treats were simple, playful, and perfectly suited for a holiday that celebrated imagination and a touch of spookiness. The origin of toasted cheese bats is rooted in mid-century creativity and practicality. Sandwiches and toasted cheese were everyday staples, but home cooks loved adding a seasonal twist, turning ordinary ingredients into fun, thematic snacks. Halloween offered the perfect opportunity to combine ease, flavor, and visual appeal, transforming the humble grilled cheese into something that delighted children and adults alike. They became popular at school parties, church gatherings, and neighborhood get-togethers, an accessible, budget-friendly way to bring a bit of the holiday's theatrics to the table. Ingredients were minimal: bread, cheese, butter, and optional garnishes like olives or paprika for eyes and detailing. Preparation involved cutting bread into bat-like shapes, layering or sprinkling cheese, and toasting until golden and melty. Some bakers got creative, using small cookie cutters to make the shapes more intricate, or adding subtle spices to enhance flavor. The process was straightforward, hands-on, and instantly rewarding, the kitchen filled with the warm scent of melted cheese and toasted bread. Toasted cheese bats carry nostalgic resonance, conjuring memories of excited children, playful kitchen projects, and the joy of making familiar foods feel festive. Today, they might seem quaint compared to elaborate Halloween spreads or viral snack trends, but their charm is enduring. They remind us that with a touch of imagination, even the simplest ingredients, bread and cheese, can become a memorable, themed treat that delights both the eye and the palate. Cream cheese mummies. Imagine a Halloween kitchen in the 1970s, the aroma of fresh bread mingling with tangy cream cheese, and children pressing sticky fingers against the counter in anticipation. On the table lie cream cheese mummies, soft bread or pastry wrapped in delicate strips of dough or tortilla, filled with creamy cheese and decorated with tiny olive eyes peeking through. These playful treats combined savory flavor with a touch of theatrical fun, perfectly capturing the whimsy and creativity of Halloween celebrations. The origin of cream cheese mummies comes from the mid-20th century fascination with themed snacks that could be prepared quickly yet impressively. Home cooks loved transforming ordinary ingredients into spooky, interactive creations. Mummies were a natural choice for Halloween, allowing families to turn bread, tortillas, or pastry into wrapped, bandage-like shapes that were both eye-catching and delicious. They quickly became popular at pool parties, neighborhood gatherings, and family dinners, providing a savory balance to the season's abundance of sugary treats. Ingredients were simple and accessible: cream cheese, bread, tortillas, or pastry dough, and small items like sliced olives or peppercorns for eyes. Preparation involved spreading the cream cheese on the base, rolling or wrapping it to resemble a mummy, and then adding the decorative eyes. Some variations included seasoning the cheese or baking the mummies briefly to give them a slightly golden exterior. The process was fun and hands-on, making it an engaging project for parents and children alike. Cream cheese mummies carry a nostalgic charm, evoking memories of family kitchens filled with laughter, excitement, and a little mess. Today, they might seem quaint compared to elaborate Halloween spreads or trendy viral snacks, but their appeal endures. They remind us that creativity, simplicity, and a playful approach to food can turn humble ingredients into memorable, festive treats, perfect for celebrating the imagination and fun of Halloween. Cornbread jack-o'-lanterns. Picture a cozy Halloween kitchen in the 1950s with the scent of baking cornbread mingling with autumn spices and the faint aroma of roasted pumpkin from the porch jack-o'-lanterns. On the counter sit cornbread jack-o'-lanterns, miniature cornbread rounds carefully carved with cheerful or spooky faces, their golden surfaces inviting and festive. These savory, sweet creations were a playful nod to the season, combining the heartiness of cornbread with the visual delight of Halloween decorations. The origin of cornbread jack-o'-lanterns lies in mid-century American ingenuity, when home cooks loved making the holidays both tasty and visually engaging. Cornbread was a staple in many households, simple, inexpensive, and adaptable. By carving small rounds to resemble pumpkins or even baking the cornbread in molds, bakers could create a centerpiece that was both edible and decorative. And these treats became popular at community gatherings, school parties, and family dinners, providing a homemade alternative to store-bought snacks while celebrating the spirit of Halloween. Ingredients were straightforward: cornmeal, flour, eggs, milk, a touch of sugar or honey, and butter or oil. Some recipes incorporated pumpkin puree or autumn spices to enhance flavor and color. Preparation involved mixing the batter, shaping it into rounds, or using mini muffin tins, and once baked, carving simple jack-o'-lantern faces, or adding tiny touches with vegetables or cheese for eyes and mouths. The process required care but was accessible, allowing families to involve children in creating both the shapes and the finished display. Cornbread jack-o'-lanterns carry a nostalgic resonance, evoking memories of communal kitchens, excited chatter, and the pride of presenting something homemade at a party. Today, they might seem quaint compared to modern dessert trends or flashy Halloween snacks, but they remind us that with a little creativity, simple ingredients can become a festive, memorable treat that delights both the eye and the palate. They're proof that Halloween magic isn't just in candy. It's in the imagination and care baked into every bite. Spaghetti, monster hair cups. Imagine a Halloween party in the 1970s, the air filled with the laughter of children and the scent of bubbling pasta wafting from the kitchen. On the snack table sit spaghetti monster hair cups. Individual portions of spaghetti piled high, dressed with a playful tangle of sauce, cheese, and perhaps a few cleverly placed olive eyes. These quirky little servings transformed a simple, everyday dish into a festive, spooky centerpiece that delighted both kids and adults. The origin of spaghetti monster hair cups comes from the era's love for whimsical, hands-on foods that could double as both meal and entertainment. Convenience foods were on the rise, but home cooks still relished the chance to play with presentation, especially during holidays. By twisting cooked spaghetti into high, untamed hair and topping it with sauce or creative garnishes, families could create a fun, thematic dish that looked almost too playful to eat. These cups became a hit at school parties, church socials, and neighborhood gatherings, offering a savory, filling option alongside the traditional Halloween sweets. Ingredients were simple and familiar: cooked spaghetti, tomato sauce, or a creamy alternative, shredded cheese, and small edible accents like sliced olives or cherry tomatoes for eyes. Preparation involved portioning the pasta into small cups, piling it high, draping it with sauce, sprinkling cheese, and adding the finishing touches for a monster effect. The tactile, hands-on nature of the assembly made it a favorite for children helping in the kitchen, encouraging creativity and excitement. Spaghetti. Monster hair cups carry a nostalgic charm, evoking images of bustling kitchens, sticky fingers, and the pride of turning a humble family meal into a holiday spectacle. Today, they may seem quirky or even retro compared to Instagram-ready treats or packaged snacks, but their playful spirit endures. They remind us that with imagination, even the simplest foods can become memorable, festive, and full of Halloween magic. Hot dog ghosts in crescent rolls. Picture a Halloween evening in the 1960s. The kitchen warm with the smell of baking dough and children darting around in paper masks, excited for treats both sweet and savory. On the counter lie hot dog ghosts in crescent rolls, plump little sausages wrapped snugly in soft golden crescent dough, with tiny raisin or olive eyes staring out from their ghostly forms. These whimsical snacks were playful, approachable, and perfect for a holiday that celebrated both fun and a touch of spookiness. The origin of hot dog ghosts in crescent rolls is rooted in mid-20th century ingenuity and convenience. Crescent roll dough, a newly popular pantry staple, made it easy to create festive, bite-sized snacks, while hot dogs offered an affordable, familiar filling. Combining the two allowed home cooks to transform ordinary ingredients into Halloween-themed treats that delighted children and adults alike. They quickly became a favorite at school parties, neighborhood gatherings, and family dinners, providing a savory alternative to candy while still capturing the holiday spirit. Ingredients were simple: refrigerated crescent roll dough, hot dogs or small sausages, and a few raisins, olives, or peppercorns for eyes. Preparation involved wrapping the dough around the hot dogs, shaping the ends to resemble ghostly forms, adding the eyes, and baking until golden brown. The result was a warm, comforting snack that was both visually fun and satisfying to eat. Hot dog ghosts in crescent rolls carry nostalgic resonance, evoking memories of busy kitchens filled with laughter, playful creativity, and the excitement of presenting homemade treats at Halloween gatherings. Today, they might seem quaint or retro compared to elaborate Halloween spreads or viral snack trends, but their charm endures. They remind us that even simple, everyday ingredients, dough and sausage, can be transformed with a little imagination into a festive, memorable treat that brings joy to children and adults alike. Chex Mix Witch's Brew. Imagine a Halloween gathering in the 1970s, the air filled with laughter, the clatter of dishes, and the scent of buttery toasted snacks. On the table sits a large, festive bowl of Chex Mix Witch's Brew, an irresistible medley of crunchy cereals, pretzels, nuts, and sometimes a hint of candy, all tossed together with a buttery, savory coating and served with a playful, spooky flair. This mix was more than a snack. It was a communal treat that brought families and friends together over something simple, delicious, and perfectly themed for the holiday. The origin of Chex Mix Witch's Brew lies in the rise of convenience foods in mid-century America. Chex cereal had become a pantry staple, and home cooks quickly discovered its versatility. By adding pretzels, nuts, and seasonings, they could create a snack mix that was not only tasty but also customizable for parties and holidays. Halloween inspired the imaginative twist, calling it Witch's Brew, adding autumnal colors, or even tossing in candy pieces to make it festive. It became a go-to for school parties, neighborhood gatherings, and family celebrations. Easy to prepare, fun to serve, and satisfying for both kids and adults. Ingredients were simple: Chex cereal, corn, rice, or wheat, small pretzels, nuts, butter, Worcestershire sauce or soy sauce, garlic or onion powder, and optional candy or colored sprinkles. Preparation involved gently melting the butter and seasonings, tossing everything together until coated, and baking or toasting until crisp. The process was quick, hands-on, and filled the kitchen with a warm, savory aroma. Chex Mix Witch's Brew carries nostalgic resonance, evoking images of communal kitchens, parties with friends and family, and the excitement of seasonal treats. Today, it might seem quaint compared to elaborate Halloween snacks or viral dessert trends, but its charm endures. It reminds us that simple, thoughtful ingredients, combined with imagination and care, can create a festive, memorable treat that celebrates both flavor and the playful spirit of Halloween. Black bean dip slime. Imagine a Halloween party in the 1970s, the room buzzing with children in homemade costumes, laughter echoing off the walls, and the scent of savory snacks filling the air. On the snack table sits a bowl of black bean dip slime, dark, creamy, and slightly mysterious, with a glossy sheen that gives it a spooky, otherworldly appearance. This simple, nutritious dip was a playful addition to a party spread, offering both flavor and a touch of theatrical fun for kids and adults alike. The origin of black bean dip slime reflects mid-century experimentation with budget-friendly, wholesome ingredients. Black beans were inexpensive, shelf-stable, and versatile, making them perfect for creative, crowd-pleasing snacks. Halloween provided the perfect excuse to transform a humble bean dip into something visually fun. A swirl of sour cream or dollop of guacamole might mimic ooze, and a few olive eyeballs or chopped vegetables could enhance the spooky effect. It became popular at school parties and family gatherings, a savory counterpart to candy-laden treats. Ingredients were simple and accessible: canned black beans, garlic or onion, a touch of cumin or chili powder for flavor, sour cream or cream cheese to add creaminess, and optional garnishes for eyes or slime effects. Preparation involved mashing or blending the beans, mixing in the seasonings and creamy elements, and arranging it creatively in a bowl. The resulting dip was smooth, flavorful, and instantly fun to serve. Black bean dip slime carries nostalgic charm, conjuring images of hands dipping chips or crackers into its glossy surface, laughter at the spooky presentation, and pride in offering a homemade, slightly healthier option at a Halloween party. Today, it may seem quirky compared to brightly colored or Instagram-ready treats, but its playful creativity and approachable flavor make it a timeless example of how simple ingredients can be transformed into a memorable themed snack. Deviled potato skulls. Picture a Halloween kitchen in the 1960s, the air rich with the aroma of baked potatoes and spices, children darting around with paper masks and homemade costumes, and a table brimming with spooky treats. Among the savory offerings sit deviled potato skulls, halved baked potatoes hollowed and filled with a creamy, tangy mixture, then carved or decorated to resemble miniature skulls. These playful, hands-on snacks combined familiar ingredients with Halloween theatrics, delighting guests with both flavor and creativity. The origin of deviled potato skulls reflects mid-century inventiveness and a love for themed party foods. Deviled dishes were popular at gatherings, and potatoes, abundant, inexpensive, and versatile, made the perfect base for a Halloween twist. By scooping out the potato flesh and mixing it with seasonings, butter, and a touch of cream or mayonnaise, home cooks could craft a filling that was both flavorful and moldable. Simple garnishes like olives, paprika, or chives transformed each potato into a tiny, spooky centerpiece, making them a hit at school parties, church socials, and family gatherings. Ingredients were straightforward: potatoes, butter or cream, mayonnaise, mustard, or seasonings for tang, and garnishes such as olives, paprika, or small vegetable pieces for facial details. Preparation involved baking the potatoes until tender, scooping out the centers, mixing the flesh with flavorful additions, and carefully filling the potato shells while shaping or decorating them into skulls. The process was hands-on and engaging, often involving children in the creative assembly. Deviled potato skulls carry nostalgic charm, evoking memories of bustling kitchens, shared laughter, and the pride of serving something both tasty and imaginative. Today, they may seem quaint compared to elaborate Halloween spreads or viral snack trends, but their appeal endures. They remind us that with simple ingredients and a dash of creativity, everyday foods can be transformed into memorable festive treats that bring delight and a little spookiness to any Halloween celebration. Candy apple wreaths. Imagine a Halloween party in the 1950s, the crisp autumn air drifting through open windows, and the scent of cinnamon and sugar filling the kitchen. At the center of the table sits a candy apple wreath, a circular arrangement of shiny red apples, each coated in a glistening caramel shell and tied together with festive ribbons or autumn leaves. This treat wasn't just delicious, it was a striking centerpiece, combining visual appeal with the sweet, tangy flavor of candied apples, embodying the spirit of Halloween in both taste and presentation. The origin of candy apple wreaths comes from the long-standing tradition of candying apples for autumn celebrations. By the mid-20th century, home cooks were experimenting with presentation, transforming ordinary candy apples into a decorative, shareable format. The wreath shape reflected seasonal motifs, echoing harvest decorations, while also offering a communal snack that could be passed around at neighborhood parties, school gatherings, or family celebrations. It was a simple way to elevate a humble treat into a festive showstopper. Ingredients were straightforward: firm apples, sugar, corn syrup, water, and a touch of food coloring or cinnamon for flavor. Preparation involved carefully coating the apples in hot caramel, letting them set, and arranging them in a circular wreath formation, sometimes accented with ribbons, nuts, or candy leaves. The process required patience and a careful touch, but the result was a glossy, festive display that captured both the imagination and the palate. Candy apple wreaths carry a nostalgic charm, evoking images of families working together in the kitchen, children marveling at the shiny, sweet apples, and the excitement of sharing a homemade treat with friends and neighbors. Today, they may feel quaint compared to modern Halloween desserts or flashy party platters, but their appeal endures. They remind us that simple ingredients, thoughtful presentation, and a little creativity can transform a seasonal snack into a lasting memory. Mini meatloaf pumpkins. Picture a Halloween kitchen in the 1950s, the scent of sizzling meat mingling with herbs and spices, and children eagerly peering over the counter in anticipation. On the table sit mini meatloaf pumpkins, individual portions of seasoned meatloaf shaped into small, round pumpkins, sometimes topped with a small green pepper or celery stalk as a stem. These savory creations were both practical and festive, transforming a humble dinner staple into a playful, thematic treat for Halloween parties and family gatherings. The origin of mini meatloaf pumpkins reflects mid-century inventiveness in home cooking. Meatloaf was an economical, crowd-pleasing dish, and shaping it into pumpkins added whimsy and seasonal charm. By making them individual-sized, cooks could serve them as finger foods or as part of a larger party spread, allowing guests to enjoy a hearty bite without the formality of a full dinner portion. The design brought creativity to the table while keeping ingredients simple and budget-friendly, making it a favorite for both weekday meals and festive occasions. Ingredients were straightforward: ground beef or a mixture of meats, breadcrumbs or crackers, eggs, onions, seasonings, and sometimes ketchup or tomato paste for topping. Preparation involved mixing the ingredients, forming them into small, round shapes, and baking until cooked through. A small vegetable piece, such as a green pepper stem or celery stick, completed the pumpkin effect. Some families added a drizzle of ketchup to enhance color and flavor, giving the meatloaf a glossy finish. Mini meatloaf pumpkins carry nostalgic charm, evoking images of family kitchens alive with laughter. The satisfaction of turning a simple meal into a themed delight, and the joy of sharing something both tasty and playful. Today, they may seem quaint compared to modern Halloween finger foods or elaborate party platters, but their appeal endures. They remind us that with a touch of imagination, even everyday ingredients can be transformed into memorable, festive treats that delight both the eye and the palate. Orange Jell-O pumpkin cups. Picture a Halloween party in the 1960s, the kitchen buzzing with excitement, and the scent of citrusy sweetness mingling with autumn spices. On the table sit orange Jell-O pumpkin cups, individual portions of vibrant orange gelatin, often served in small molds or halved hollowed-out oranges, topped with a dollop of whipped cream. These cheerful, wobbly treats captured the essence of the season, offering a playful and visually striking dessert that delighted both children and adults. The origin of orange Jell-O pumpkin cups lies in mid-century creativity with gelatin desserts. Jell-O had become a household staple, prized for its ease, versatility, and ability to hold festive shapes and colors. Halloween inspired cooks to embrace bright, seasonal hues and fun presentations, transforming a simple, inexpensive dessert into a party centerpiece. By using orange gelatin, they could evoke the look of tiny pumpkins, adding whipped cream or small accents to mimic stems or leaves, making the treats both charming and thematic. Ingredients were simple: flavored gelatin, sugar, water, and optional garnishes such as whipped cream, chocolate shavings, or green-tinted coconut to resemble pumpkin vines. Preparation involved dissolving the gelatin, pouring it into molds or hollowed oranges, and allowing it to set. Once firm, each cup could be decorated to enhance the pumpkin effect. The process was straightforward, hands-on, and highly visual, making it a favorite project for families and children helping in the kitchen. Orange Jell-O pumpkin cups carry nostalgic resonance, evoking memories of school parties, neighborhood gatherings, and the joy of creating something both edible and visually playful. Today, they may seem quaint compared to modern Halloween desserts or viral treat trends, but their charm endures. They remind us that even simple, inexpensive ingredients can be transformed with creativity and care into a festive, memorable treat that embodies the fun and whimsy of Halloween. Clove-spiced apple cider punch. Imagine a Halloween evening in the 1940s, the chill of autumn in the air, and the warm, inviting aroma of spiced cider drifting from the kitchen. In the center of the party table sits a large punch bowl filled with clove-spiced apple cider punch, steam curling from its surface as the rich scent of cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg fills the room. This beverage was more than a drink. It was a sensory celebration of the season, warming guests from the inside out and bringing people together around a communal tradition. The origin of clove-spiced apple cider punch lies in American holiday customs, where cider was a readily available, affordable ingredient that could be enhanced with spices to create a comforting, festive beverage. During Halloween, home cooks embrace the opportunity to add a theatrical touch, sometimes floating apple slices, orange rounds, or even eyeball-peeled grapes for playful flair. The drink was particularly popular at neighborhood parties, church socials, and family gatherings, where it offered a wholesome alternative to sugary sodas while remaining sweet, aromatic, and seasonally themed. Ingredients were simple: fresh or store-bought apple cider, whole cloves, cinnamon sticks, allspice, and occasionally brown sugar or a splash of citrus. Preparation involved gently warming the cider with the spices to allow the flavors to meld, straining if desired, and serving in a punch bowl or mugs. Some variations included garnishes like apple slices or floating cranberries to enhance both the flavor and visual appeal. Clove-spiced apple cider. Punch carries nostalgic charm, evoking memories of children gathered in scarves, the warmth of a kitchen filled with laughter, and the pride of serving a homemade, fragrant treat that signaled the start of Halloween festivities. Today, it may seem quaint compared to modern bottled beverages or elaborate cocktail creations, but its appeal endures. It reminds us that simple ingredients, thoughtfully combined, can create a festive, comforting, and memorable experience that embodies the flavors and spirit of the season. Black Cherry Vampire Soda. Picture a Halloween party in the 1950s, the room buzzing with children in homemade costumes, laughter mingling with the clink of glasses, and a table full of festive treats. Among the offerings is Black Cherry Vampire Soda, a deep, ruby red beverage served in clear glasses, sometimes garnished with a splash of cream or a few floating maraschino cherries. Its rich color and playful name made it an instant hit, evoking the spooky allure of vampires while providing a sweet, fizzy treat that was both fun and memorable. The origin of Black Cherry Vampire Soda reflects mid-century fascination with novelty drinks and themed parties. Soda fountains were popular, and home cooks adapted this trend for holiday gatherings, using readily available ingredients to create beverages that were both visually striking and flavorful. Black cherry flavoring lent a rich, dark hue, perfect for Halloween, while carbonation or a splash of ginger ale added effervescence, making the drink feel festive and special. It quickly became a staple at school parties, church socials, and family get-togethers, a playful alternative to plain punch. Ingredients were simple: black cherry soda or syrup, carbonated water or ginger ale, and optional garnishes like cherries, lemon slices, or a small splash of cream. Preparation involved mixing the soda and any additions, pouring into glasses, and serving chilled. The result was a visually captivating and flavorful beverage that appealed to children and adults alike. Black Cherry Vampire Soda carries nostalgic charm, conjuring memories of eager children raising their glasses, the delight of a themed homemade drink, and the excitement of Halloween festivities. Today, it may seem quaint compared to brightly colored, branded beverages or elaborate party cocktails, but its appeal endures. It reminds us that simple ingredients, when combined with imagination and a touch of theatricality, can transform an ordinary drink into a festive, memorable centerpiece for celebration. Pumpkin spice gelatin shots, non-alcoholic. Imagine a Halloween gathering in the 1970s, the kitchen alive with chatter, laughter, and the sweet, spicy scent of autumn floating through the air. On the snack table sit pumpkin spice gelatin shots, small, wobbly, orange-hued portions served in little cups, each topped with a dollop of whipped cream or a sprinkle of cinnamon. Though they might remind today's adults of trendy party shots, these non-alcoholic treats were designed for family fun, offering a playful, seasonal twist on classic gelatin desserts that children and adults alike could enjoy. The origin of pumpkin spice gelatin shots comes from mid-century experimentation with gelatin, a staple of American kitchens. Home cooks were eager to create themed desserts that reflected the colors and flavors of the season, and pumpkin spice, an increasingly popular combination of cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and cloves, was the perfect choice. By using flavored gelatin and spices, cooks could craft small, vibrant desserts that were both visually appealing and rich with the taste of fall. These shots became a favorite at school parties, neighborhood gatherings, and family celebrations, balancing whimsy and flavor in a simple, budget-friendly form. Ingredients were simple: orange-flavored gelatin, water, sugar if needed, pumpkin pie spice, and optional whipped cream or cinnamon for garnish. Preparation involved dissolving the gelatin with the spice, pouring it into small cups, and allowing it to set until firm. The result was a portable, festive treat that could be served individually, making it easy to enjoy while mingling or trick-or-treating indoors. Pumpkin spice gelatin shots carry nostalgic charm, evoking memories of hands dipping spoons into wobbly cups, the excitement of themed desserts, and the joy of sharing seasonal flavors with friends and family. Today, they may seem quaint compared to modern Halloween concoctions or viral dessert trends, but their playful creativity and comforting flavors endure. They remind us that simple ingredients, thoughtfully combined, can transform a humble dessert into a festive, memorable treat that embodies the spirit of the season. Orange sherbet pumpkin potion. Imagine a Halloween party in the 1960s, the air filled with laughter, the rustle of costumes, and the sweet tang of citrus drifting from the kitchen. At the center of the dessert table sits orange sherbet pumpkin potion, a frosty, creamy treat served in clear cups, its bright orange hue catching the eye and instantly evoking the season. Topped with a swirl of whipped cream or a few sprinkles, this simple concoction offered a playful, refreshing counterpoint to heavier sweets, delighting children and adults alike with its color, flavor, and whimsy. The origin of orange sherbet pumpkin potion lies in mid-century ingenuity with frozen treats. Sherbet, a popular and convenient dessert, provided the perfect base for a Halloween-themed creation. By choosing a vibrant orange flavor, home cooks could mimic the color of pumpkins while keeping preparation simple and affordable. Adding whipped cream, maraschino cherries, or a dusting of cinnamon elevated the presentation, turning an everyday dessert into a festive party centerpiece. These potions became a favorite at school parties, family gatherings, and neighborhood events, offering a visually striking and flavorful treat that required minimal fuss. Ingredients were straightforward: orange sherbet, a splash of orange juice or soda for texture if desired, whipped cream, and optional garnishes like sprinkles or cinnamon. Preparation involved scooping the sherbet into cups, adding a little liquid to soften if desired, and finishing with decorative toppings. The result was a bright, creamy dessert that was easy to serve and fun to eat. Orange sherbet pumpkin potion carries nostalgic charm, evoking memories of excited children reaching for their cups, kitchens filled with laughter, and the pride of offering a homemade, visually playful treat. Today, it may seem quaint compared to elaborate Halloween desserts or viral snack trends, but its appeal endures. It reminds us that simple ingredients, a touch of imagination, and thoughtful presentation can transform a classic dessert into a festive, memorable celebration of Halloween. Chocolate-covered candy corn bark. Imagine a Halloween kitchen in the 1970s, the scent of melted chocolate mingling with the sugary sweetness of candy corn and children eagerly hovering nearby, noses pressed to the counter. Laid out on a baking sheet is chocolate-covered candy corn bark, a simple yet striking treat with layers of smooth chocolate studded with colorful candy corn pieces. This indulgent snack was as playful as it was delicious, blending classic fall flavors with a dramatic presentation that immediately caught the eye at any party or gathering. The origin of chocolate-covered candy corn bark comes from mid-century experimentation with easy, visually appealing desserts. Candy corn, a seasonal favorite, was already a staple at Halloween, and coating it in chocolate added a rich, decadent twist. Home cooks appreciated how minimal effort could yield maximum impact. A few ingredients, quick assembly, and an eye-catching result made this bark a hit at school parties, neighborhood gatherings, and family celebrations. It embodied the era's love of accessible, creative desserts that were fun to make and fun to eat. Ingredients were simple, semi-sweet, or milk chocolate, candy corn, and optionally chopped nuts, sprinkles, or a drizzle of white chocolate for contrast. Preparation involved melting the chocolate, spreading it onto a lined baking sheet, pressing candy corn pieces into the surface and allowing it to cool and harden before breaking into irregular shards. The process was hands-on and satisfying, producing a treat that was both crunchy and sweet, with the bright colors of candy corn adding festive flair. Chocolate-covered candy corn bark carries nostalgic charm, evoking memories of sticky fingers, the thrill of Halloween treats, and the pride of creating something both beautiful and delicious at home. Today, it may seem quaint next to elaborate or Instagram-ready desserts, but its appeal endures. It reminds us that simple ingredients, combined with a little imagination, can transform everyday confections into a striking, memorable celebration of the season. Ghostly mini meat pies. Imagine a Halloween kitchen in the 1960s, the aroma of savory fillings and buttery pastry filling the air, while children dressed in homemade costumes dash around in excitement. On the counter sit ghostly mini meat pies, tiny hand pies filled with seasoned meat shaped to resemble playful little ghosts with eyes made from cloves or peppercorns. These bite-sized delights were both hearty and whimsical, bringing a festive twist to a classic comfort food and making them a hit at Halloween parties and family gatherings alike. The origin of ghostly mini meat pies reflects mid-century inventiveness in home cooking. Meat pies were a staple dish, but miniaturizing them for a holiday and adding a playful theme allowed home cooks to combine practicality with imagination. Halloween offered the perfect opportunity to make everyday foods fun. By shaping the dough into ghostly forms and decorating them with simple garnishes, cooks could create a treat that was visually festive, easy to serve, and satisfying to eat. These pies became popular at school parties, neighborhood events, and family dinners, offering a savory balance to the season's abundance of sweet treats. Ingredients were simple: ground beef or a mix of meats, onions, seasonings like salt, pepper, and herbs, and pastry dough such as pie crust or biscuit dough. Preparation involved making the filling, cutting, and shaping the dough into mini ghost forms, filling them, sealing the edges, and baking until golden brown. Tiny garnishes, like cloves or peppercorns, served as eyes, completing the ghostly effect and adding a playful touch. Ghostly mini meat pies carry nostalgic charm, evoking memories of bustling kitchens, the excitement of themed treats, and the pride of presenting something homemade and festive. Today, they may seem quaint compared to elaborate Halloween spreads or viral snack trends, but their appeal endures. They remind us that with simple ingredients, a little creativity, and a touch of imagination, even a humble meat pie can become a memorable, playful, and seasonal delight. Cheesy skeleton fingers, cheese sticks. Imagine a Halloween kitchen in the 1970s, the scent of baked cheese mingling with autumn air, and children darting around in paper masks, eagerly anticipating festive treats. On a platter lie cheesy skeleton fingers, crispy golden cheese sticks, scored or shaped to resemble bones with almond slivers or tiny bits of dough at the ends to mimic knuckles. These savory snacks were playful, easy to make, and perfectly themed, offering a fun, interactive alternative to the usual candy-laden spread. The origin of cheesy skeleton fingers comes from mid-century creativity with simple, inexpensive ingredients. Cheese sticks and dough were already pantry staples, and Halloween offered the perfect excuse to transform them into something visually striking. By shaping or scoring the sticks, home cooks could create skeleton fingers that were both tasty and theatrical, appealing to children and adults alike. They quickly became a hit at school parties, family gatherings, and neighborhood events, blending familiar flavors with a touch of spooky fun. Ingredients were straightforward: mozzarella or cheddar sticks, crescent roll or pastry dough, optional, and almond slivers or small dough pieces for details. Preparation involved wrapping or shaping the cheese sticks, adding knuckle details, and baking until golden and melty. Some variations included a light brush of butter or egg wash to enhance color and crispness, making the fingers even more visually appealing. Cheesy skeleton fingers carry nostalgic resonance, evoking memories of playful kitchens, children sneaking bites, and the pride of creating homemade themed snacks that delighted guests. Today, they may seem quaint compared to elaborate Halloween spreads or viral snack trends, but their charm endures. They remind us that even simple ingredients, paired with imagination and careful presentation, can transform an everyday snack into a memorable, festive treat that captures the fun and whimsy of Halloween. Spooky pizza pinwheels. Imagine a Halloween kitchen in the 1960s filled with the irresistible aroma of melted cheese, herbs, and warm-baked dough. On a serving platter lie spooky pizza pinwheels, spiral-shaped slices of dough layered with tomato sauce, cheese, and savory toppings, sometimes decorated with olive eyes or tiny pepperoni bats. These bite-sized snacks were both practical and playful, perfect for kids' parties, neighborhood gatherings, or family celebrations, offering a savory alternative to the abundance of candy. The origin of spooky pizza pinwheels reflects mid-century ingenuity in holiday-themed snacks. Pizza and pastry dough were readily available staples, and by rolling the ingredients into spirals, home cooks could create finger foods that were easy to serve, fun to eat, and visually festive. Halloween provided the ideal excuse to get creative. Adding toppings in the shape of eyes, spiders, or other spooky motifs turned an ordinary snack into a conversation piece. These pinwheels became popular at school parties, church socials, and family events, blending convenience, flavor, and thematic flair. Ingredients were simple: refrigerated pizza or pastry dough, tomato sauce, shredded cheese, and optional toppings like pepperoni, olives, bell peppers, or herbs for decoration. Preparation involves spreading the sauce and toppings on the dough, rolling it into a tight log, slicing into individual pinwheels, and baking until golden and melty. The result was a warm, cheesy snack that was portable, kid-friendly, and full of visual appeal. Spooky pizza pinwheels carry nostalgic charm, evoking memories of busy kitchens, playful creativity, and the joy of serving something both savory and seasonally themed. Today, they may seem quaint compared to elaborate Halloween spreads or viral snack trends, but their appeal endures. They remind us that with simple ingredients and a touch of imagination, even everyday foods can be transformed into festive, memorable treats that capture the spirit and fun of Halloween. Halloween has always been about fun, creativity, and a little bit of spooky delight. And these 30 forgotten treats remind us just how imaginative our kitchens once were. From savory snacks to playful desserts, each one tells a story of celebration, resourcefulness, and family gatherings. If any of these recipes brought back memories or inspired you to try them yourself, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more nostalgic culinary adventures. Which forgotten Halloween favorite would you bring back first?